Nora and the Diner Chapter 1, The Usual Shift, 00:15. My name's Nora, 29, and I've been waiting tables at Rosie's Diner in Burlington, Vermont, for 3 years now. It's 1993, and Burlington's a small city, all brick buildings and lake breezes off Champlain, with a college crowd that keeps the diner busy. Rosie's is a narrow spot, red vinyl booths, a jukebox that plays Elvis and Patsy Cline, and a counter where truckers and locals nurse coffee until midnight. I live in a one-room apartment above a hardware store, close enough to walk to work. Life's simple: work, sleep, repeat. I don't mind. It's steady, and after my dad's drinking and my mom's leaving when I was a kid, steady feels like enough that I'm good at my job. Know the regulars' orders by heart, keep the coffee hot, smile even when my feet ache. Most nights, I work the late shift, 4 p.m. to closing. The diner's quiet after 10, just a few stragglers, the hum of the neon sign outside. Last Tuesday, around 11, a guy came in, sat at the counter. Mid-30s, I'd guess, with a flannel shirt and a face that looked tired but kind. He ordered coffee, black, and a slice of apple pie. Didn't say much, just nodded when I set the plate down. I didn't think anything of it. Just another customer, another tip. 00:47. He came back the next night, same time, same order. Coffee, pie, no small talk. I noticed his hands, calloused, like he worked with them, and a faint scar across his knuckles. I didn't ask. I never ask unless someone offers. But when I refilled his coffee, he said, "Thanks, Nora," reading my name tag. His voice was low, steady, like he meant it. I smiled, said, "No problem," and went back to wiping the counter. Something about the way he said my name stuck with me, though, like it wasn't just polite. Chapter 2, the name, 01:12, by Friday, he was a regular. Came in every night around 11, always alone, always the same booth by the window. I learned his name, Eli, when he paid with a credit card. Eli Harper, the slip said. He caught me glancing at it, gave a half smile. "Not much of a mystery, am I?" he said. That I laughed, caught off guard. "Guess not. You like pie, though. That's something." "Best in town," he said, and I felt my cheeks warm, like it was a compliment meant for me. He didn't linger, just left a $5 tip, too much for a $6 tab, and walked out into the cold. I watched him go, his shadow moving under the streetlights, and realized I was hoping he'd come back tomorrow. 01:39. He did. This time, he asked about me. "You been here long, Nora?" he said, stirring his coffee slow, like he had nowhere else to be. 3 years, I said, leaning against the counter. Started right after I moved up from Rutland. Needed a change. He nodded, like he understood needing a change. "This place suits you," he said. "You make it feel warm." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just shrugged, said, "It's the coffee." He laughed, soft, and I felt something shift, like the air got a little heavier. I went back to work, but I caught myself glancing at him, wondering what his story was. Chapter 3, The Connection, 02:04. Over the next week, Eli started talking more. Small things at first, how he liked the jukebox, how the lake looked at dusk. He was a carpenter, he said, worked odd jobs around town, fixing porches, building cabinets. Moved to Burlington a year ago, didn't say from where. I told him about the diner, how Rosie, the owner, let me take home leftovers, how I'd read paperbacks behind the counter on slow nights. He listened, his eyes steady, like he was taking it all in. One night, after closing, he stayed while I locked up. The street was quiet, just the hum of the neon sign and the wind off the lake. "You walk home alone every night?" he asked, hands in his pockets. "It's not far," I said, pulling my coat tighter. "I'm used to it." "Still," he said, "not the safest thing." He offered to walk me home, no pressure, just standing there like he'd wait for me to decide. I hesitated, then nodded. It wasn't far, just 3 blocks, but his presence felt solid, reassuring. We didn't talk much, just walked, our breaths visible in the cold. When we got to my door, I said, "Thanks, Eli. You didn't have to." "Wanted to," he said, and his eyes held mine a second too long. I went upstairs, heart beating faster than it should have, wondering what I was getting myself into. 02:36. The walks became a routine. He'd show up near closing, order his coffee and pie, wait until I was done. We'd talk on the way home, about the diner, the town, little pieces of ourselves. I told him about my dad, how his drinking made home feel like a minefield, how I left at 18 and didn't look back. He didn't say much about his past, just that he'd messed up a few things before coming here. I didn't push. Something about the way he listened made me feel safe, like I could say anything and he'd still be there. Chapter 4, The Spark. 03:08. By late March, I was looking forward to Eli's visits. It wasn't just his face, though he was handsome in a quiet way, with dark eyes and a jaw that tightened when he smiled. It was how he made the diner feel less empty, how he'd sit there with his coffee, watching me like I was the only thing in the room. One night, after a slow shift, I sat across from him in his booth, my apron off, a cup of tea in my hands. The jukebox was playing something soft, maybe Billie Holiday. "You ever get tired of this?" he asked, gesturing to the diner. "Same thing every day." "Sometimes," I said. "But it's mine, you know. This place, these people. Keeps me grounded." He nodded, his fingers tracing the rim of his mug. "I get that. Had to start over myself. Wasn't easy." I wanted to ask what he meant, but his eyes were distant, like he was seeing something I couldn't. Instead, I said, "You seem like you're doing okay now." He looked at me, a faint smile. "Getting there. Helps, having someone to talk to." My stomach fluttered, and I looked down at my tea, feeling the weight of his words. When he walked me home that night, our hands brushed as we crossed the street. Neither of us pulled away, and I felt a spark, quiet but real, like a match catching. Chapter 5, The Invitation. 03:40. April came, and the snow melted, leaving Burlington green and alive. Eli started staying longer, helping me stack chairs or wipe down tables after closing. One night, he showed up with a small wooden box, carved with a simple leaf pattern. "Made this," he said, handing it to me. "Thought you might like it. For your books or whatever." I ran my fingers over the smooth wood, surprised. "It's beautiful, Eli. You didn't have to." "Wanted to," he said, same as always, but his voice was softer now, like he was saying more than the words. I kept the box on my nightstand, started putting my earrings in it, little things that reminded me of him. That Friday, he asked me to dinner. Not at the diner, but a little Italian place downtown, with candles and checkered tablecloths. I hesitated. I hadn't dated since a bad fling in Rutland, someone who left without a word. But Eli was different, steady in a way that made me want to trust him. "Okay," I said. "When?" "Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, he said, and I could tell he was nervous, his hands fidgeting with his keys. I smiled, said I'd meet him there, and went home feeling like I was standing on the edge of something new. 04:12. The dinner was simple but nice. I wore a blue dress, one I hadn't touched in years, and felt a little exposed without my apron. Eli was in a button-down, no flannel for once, and he smiled when he saw me, a real smile that reached his eyes. We ate pasta, drank cheap wine, talked about nothing and everything, music, the lake, how he'd always wanted to build a boat. He opened up a bit, said he'd grown up in Maine, left after some trouble he didn't explain. I told him about my mom, how she left when I was 10, how I still wondered where she was. "You're stronger than you think," he said, his voice low, like he meant it. I looked at him, saw something raw in his eyes, and felt my heart skip. When he walked me home, he paused at my door. "This was good, Nora," he said. "Can we do it again?" "Yeah," I said, my voice catching. "I'd like that." Chapter 6, the complication 04:44, by May, Eli was part of my life. He'd come by the diner most nights, walk me home, sometimes stay for a coffee upstairs. We'd kiss in the doorway, slow and careful, like we were both afraid of moving too fast. But there was a weight to him, something he carried that I couldn't name. I saw it in the way he'd check the street before we left the diner, the way he'd go quiet when a car slowed down outside. One night, he showed up late, his face pale, hands shaking. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice tight. I nodded, locked the diner, led him to the back booth. He told me about Maine, not the good parts, but the bad ones. He'd been married, he said, to a woman named Claire. It ended badly, fights, debts, a night he wouldn't talk about. "She's here," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Showed up at my place last night. Wants to talk, says she's changed." I felt my stomach drop. "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I don't know," he said, running a hand through his hair. "I thought I was done with her. But seeing her, it's like everything's back." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to tell him to stay, to choose me. But I saw the pain in his eyes, the kind I knew from my dad's drinking, my mom's leaving. "You need to figure it out," I said finally. "But I'm here, Eli. I'm not going anywhere." He looked at me, his hand reaching for mine. "I don't deserve you," he said, and I felt my throat tighten. Chapter 7, The Shadow 05:16. Claire started coming around. I saw her once, outside the diner, waiting for Eli. She was tall, blonde, with a sharp beauty that made me feel plain. She didn't come inside, just stood there, smoking a cigarette, watching the door. Eli was different when she was around, distant, tense, like he was carrying a weight I couldn't see. He still came to the diner, still walked me home, but there was a hesitation now, a crack in the ease we'd built. One night, after closing, I found a note tucked under a napkin in his booth. "Tell him to call me." "See," I showed it to Eli, and he crumpled it, his jaw tight. "She won't let go," he said. "Thinks we can fix things, go back to how it was." "Can you?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. "No," he said, looking at me. "That's not what I want. But she's complicated. Always has been." I nodded, but the fear settled in my chest, heavy and cold. I didn't want to lose him, not when we'd come this far. But I couldn't make him choose. All I could do was wait, and hope. 05:48. The next week, Eli told me more. Claire had been part of his life for years, high school sweethearts who married too young. She'd cheated, he said, more than once, and he'd stayed, thinking he could fix it. When they split, he left Maine, left her, left everything. "I thought I was free," he said, sitting on my couch, his head in his hands. "But she always finds me." I sat beside him, my hand on his back. "You're not that guy anymore," I said. "You're here. With me." He looked at me, his eyes searching. "I want to be," he said. "But I need to deal with her. For good." I nodded, my heart pounding. "Do what you need to," I said. "Just, come back." Chapter 8, The Breaking Point. 06:20. June was warm, the lake sparkling under long evenings. Eli was gone for a few days, meeting Claire somewhere outside town. He didn't say much, just that he needed to settle things. I kept busy at the diner, pouring coffee, smiling through the ache in my chest. The regulars noticed. Rosie asked if I was okay, her eyes kind but prying. I said I was fine, but I wasn't. I kept seeing Claire's face, her cigarette glowing in the dark, and wondered if she'd take him away. That he came back on a Thursday, looking worn but lighter, like he'd shed something heavy. We sat in the diner after closing, the jukebox off, the air still. "It's over," he said. "Told her I'm done. She didn't take it well, but she's gone." I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. "You okay?" I asked that he nodded, his hand finding mine. Yeah. For the first time in a while. We didn't kiss, didn't need to. Just sat there, hands clasped, the diner quiet around us. I felt the spark again, stronger now, like we'd crossed a line we couldn't uncross. 06:52, that night, he stayed over. Not on the couch, but with me, in my bed. It wasn't about passion, not really, just closeness, the kind that comes from knowing someone's seen you at your worst and stayed. I woke up to his arm around me, his breath warm against my neck, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. Chapter 9, The Commitment. 07:24, by August, Eli was part of the diner, part of my life. He'd help with deliveries, fix a wobbly table, charm the regulars with his quiet humor. Rosie liked him, said he was good for me, good for the place. We'd spend evenings together, walking by the lake, sharing stories we hadn't told before. He talked about his dad, a fisherman who died when Eli was 15, how he'd learned carpentry to feel close to him. I told him about my mom, how I'd found a letter from her once, unopened, saying she was sorry. I never wrote back. One night, on the lakefront, he stopped walking, turned to me. Nora, he said, his voice steady, I'm not good at this, but I love you. I want this, us, for good. My heart stopped, then raced. I'd felt it too, but hearing it was different, real. I love you too, I said, my voice shaking. But I'm scared. I've lost people before. Me too, he said, taking my hands. But I'm not going anywhere. We kissed then, under the stars, the lake lapping softly nearby. It wasn't a promise of forever, but it was a promise to try, and that was enough. 07:56, the next month, we moved in together. Not to my place, but a small house on the edge of town, with a porch and a yard big enough for a garden. It was a risk, money was tight, and the diner wasn't exactly a goldmine, but we made it work. Eli took more carpentry jobs, started building furniture for local shops. I kept the diner running, started a book club on Sundays, reading novels with Rosie and the regulars. It felt like a life, not just a routine. Chapter 10, The New Beginning. 08:28, it's 1995 now, 2 years since Eli first walked into Rosie's. We're married, a quiet ceremony by the lake, just Rosie, a few regulars, and Eli's brother, who came down from Maine. The house is ours, filled with his furniture, my books, a stray cat we named Jukebox. The diner's still here, still home, though Rosie's talking about retiring, maybe passing it to me. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but I'm thinking about it. Eli's different now, lighter. He still checks the street sometimes, still carries the scars of his past, but he's here, with me. We sit on the porch most nights, drinking coffee, watching the sunset over the mountains. Last night, he carved a small heart into the porch railing, his initials and mine inside. For keeps, he said, and I laughed, kissed him, felt the world settle around us. Life's not perfect. Money's tight, the diner's slow some days, and I still wonder about my mom, if she's out there somewhere. Eli still gets quiet sometimes, thinking about Claire, about Maine. But we talk about it, hold each other through it. We've built something real, something that started with a slice of pie and a late-night walk. It's messy, complicated, ours. And as I sit here, in the diner, watching Eli fix a chair in the corner, I know it's enough. More than enough. Conclusion, the life we carve. 08:30, it's 1998 now, 3 years since Eli and I stood by Lake Champlain, promising each other a life we weren't sure we deserved. I'm 32, still waiting tables at Rosie's Diner in Burlington, Vermont, though I'm half owner now. Rosie signed over part of the business last year, her arthritis making it hard to keep up. The diner's the same as ever, red vinyl booths, the jukebox humming Patsy Cline, the smell of coffee and grease in the air. Our house, a small clapboard place on the edge of town, is home, filled with Eli's furniture, my books, and Jukebox, our tabby cat who sleeps on the porch swing. Burlington's still a small city, all brick storefronts and lake breezes, but it feels bigger now, busier, with new faces mixing with the old. Eli and I have settled into something steady, something real, but it's not without its cracks. Sitting here, in the quiet of the diner after closing, I think about how we got here, how a slice of apple pie turned into a life I never expected but can't imagine losing. 0.09:02. The past 3 years have been a slow build, like putting together a puzzle with pieces that don't quite fit. Eli's carpentry business has grown. He's got a workshop now, a rented garage downtown where he builds tables, chairs, even a rocking horse for a neighbor's kid. His hands are still calloused, the scar across his knuckles faded but never gone. He's good at what he does, and word spread, local shops sell his pieces, and he's even got a commission for a hotel in Montpelier. I'm proud of him, prouder than I say out loud. He doesn't talk about Maine much anymore, or Claire, but I see it sometimes, in the way he pauses when a stranger knocks on our door, or how he checks the locks at night. The past doesn't vanish, I've learned. It just gets quieter. The diner's my anchor. Rosie's still around, popping in to chat with the regulars, Joe, the trucker who loves cherry pie, Lila, the college professor who reads poetry over coffee, Ben, the kid who plays Nirvana on the jukebox and tips in quarters. I've added my own touches, a bookshelf in the corner with paperbacks for borrowing, a chalkboard for daily specials I write in loopy cursive. We're not rich, far from it, but we're making it, month by month, with enough left over for a bottle of wine or a drive to the mountains. Eli's part of the diner now, too, fixing booths, building a new counter when the old one cracked. The regulars call him by name, tease him about his flannel shirts. It's strange how a place can hold you together, how a diner can feel like family. 0.09:34, but life's not a straight line. We've had our struggles, Eli and I. Money's the worst of it. Bills pile up faster than we can pay, especially with the diner's slow months in winter. Last year, we almost lost the house when a pipe burst, flooding the basement. Eli worked overtime, I took extra shifts, and we scraped by, but it left us raw, snapping at each other over small things, dishes left out, a forgotten grocery list. "We're supposed to be a team, Nora," he said once, his voice sharp, when I paid a bill without telling him. I fired back, said I was trying to keep us afloat. We didn't talk for a day, but then he came home with a coffee, black, no sugar, just like I like it, and we sat on the porch, apologizing without words. That's how we work through it, quietly, slowly, like sanding down rough edges. There's a deeper weight, too, one we don't always name. My mom's absence still lingers, a question I can't answer. I found another letter from her last year, tucked in a box of my dad's things I'd stored in the attic. "I'm sorry, Nora," it said, in her slanted handwriting. "I wasn't strong enough. I didn't tell Eli at first, just carried it around, rereading it until the paper creased. When I finally showed him, he held me, didn't say anything, just let me cry. He gets it, the way pain sticks, how it shapes you even when you don't want it to. 10:06. Eli's past is heavier, though he carries it better now. Claire hasn't come back, not since he told her it was over, but her shadow's still there. Last spring, a man showed up at his workshop, asking questions about Maine, about debts Eli thought were settled. He was polite, too polite, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Eli didn't tell me until after, when the guy was gone, said it was nothing, just someone from the old days. But I saw the tension in his jaw, the way he stayed up late, staring out the window. "You tell me if it was serious, right?" I asked, my voice small. "Yeah," he said, but his eyes didn't meet mine. I didn't push, but it scared me, the idea that his past could reach out and pull him away. I trust him, I do, but trust is fragile, like a plate you drop and glue back together. It holds, but you always see the cracks. 10:38. Despite the cracks, we've built something good. The house is ours, not just a place we live but a home we've made. The porch swing creaks when we sit on it, jukebox curled up between us. Eli's carved a bookshelf for my paperbacks, a sturdy oak thing that takes up half the living room. I've planted flowers in the yard, marigolds, daisies, things my mom loved, though I'm no gardener, and half of them die. Eli laughs, calls it my flower graveyard, but he helps me replant, his hands steady in the dirt. We're not perfect, but we're us, and that's enough most days. The diner's changed, too. I've taken on more responsibility since Rosie stepped back. I handle the books, order supplies, even hired a new waitress, a college kid named Sarah who's quick with a smile but forgets the specials. The regulars don't mind, they like the energy she brings. I've started hosting open mics on Fridays, local musicians playing folk or blues, drawing a younger crowd. Eli's there most nights, sitting in his old booth, clapping louder than anyone. He's proud of me, says it without saying it, in the way he looks at me when I'm pouring coffee or laughing with Lila. 11:10 We talk about the future sometimes, late at night, lying in bed with the window open, the lake breeze cooling the room. Eli wants to expand his workshop, maybe hire an apprentice. I want to keep the diner going, maybe add a coffee bar, make it a place where people linger longer. We don't talk about kids, not yet. I think about my mom, how she wasn't ready for me, and I wonder if I'd be any better. Eli says I would, says I'm stronger than I think, but he doesn't push. He knows I'm still carrying pieces of my past, just like he is. The town's changing around us. Burlington's growing, with new shops opening downtown, tourists flocking to the lake. It's good for the diner, more customers, bigger tips, but it makes me miss the quieter days, when it was just me, Rosie, and the regulars. Eli fits here, though, in a way I didn't expect. He's made friends, a carpenter named Tom, a bartender at the Italian place, even Ben, who calls him dude like they're brothers. I watch him sometimes, joking with them, and I see a lightness he didn't have when we met, like he's finally letting go of Main. 11:42 Last summer, we took a trip, just the two of us, to the Adirondacks. Rented a cabin by a lake, no phone, no diner, just us and the trees. Eli brought his tools, carved a small bird while we sat by the water. I read a paperback, some old mystery, and we talked for hours, about nothing and everything. One night, under a sky full of stars, he pulled me close, his hands warm against my back. "You make me want to be better," he said, his voice low, and I felt my throat tighten. "You're already good," I said, and meant it. We kissed, slow and deep, the kind of kiss that feels like a promise. I think about that trip a lot, how it felt like we were the only two people in the world, how it reminded me why I chose him, why we chose this. 12:14 Back in Burlington, life keeps moving. The diner's busier now, thanks to a write-up in a local paper calling us a hidden gem. Eli's workshop is thriving, he's got orders lined up through winter. We're not rich, but we're okay, better than okay. Rosie's talking about retiring for good, leaving the diner to me. It scares me, the idea of running it alone, but Eli says I can do it, says he'll be there every step. I believe him, not because it's easy, but because he's never given me a reason not to. Lila came by last week, her usual poetry book in hand. She saw us together, me behind the counter, Eli fixing a light fixture. "You two are something else," she said, smiling. "Like you were always meant to be here." I laughed, but her words stayed with me. Meant to be. I don't know if I believe in that, not after my mom, my dad, all the ways life can break you. But with Eli, it feels close, like we're carving our own meaning, day by day. 12:46 There's still fear, though, quiet but real. I worry about the diner, about keeping it afloat in a world that's changing faster than I can keep up. Chain restaurants are creeping in, and I hear whispers about a new mall that might pull customers away. I worry about Eli, too, about the past that still lingers in his silences, in the way he checks the street when we lock up. Last month, a letter came, no return address, just a single line, "You can't run forever." Eli burned it in the backyard, didn't say a word, but I saw the fear in his eyes, the same fear I feel when I think about losing this life we've built. That I confronted him that night, sitting on the porch, jukebox purring between us. "You tell me if it was bad, right?" I asked, my voice shaking. That he looked at me, his hand finding mine. It's nothing, Nora. Just ghosts. I wanted to believe him, but ghosts have a way of showing up when you least expect. I didn't push, just held his hand, felt the calluses, the scar, the weight of everything he carries. We're stronger than ghosts, I said, and he smiled, faint but real. 13:18, we not perfect, Eli and I. We fight sometimes, about money, about plans, about the way I hold things in until they spill over. But we talk it out, always, over coffee or on the porch, the lake shimmering in the distance. He's teaching me to trust, not just him but myself, to believe I'm enough. I'm teaching him, too, to let go of the guilt he carries, to see himself the way I do, steady, kind, worth loving. Last night, we sat in the diner after closing, the jukebox off, the neon sign buzzing softly. Eli was sketching a new design, a table with curved legs, his pencil scratching quietly. I was reading, some old romance novel, my feet up on a chair. He looked up, caught my eye, and smiled. You know, he said, I never thought I'd have this. A home. You. I put the book down, leaned across the table. Me neither, I said. But here we are. He reached for my hand, his fingers warm against mine. Here we are, he said, and we sat there, in the quiet, the diner holding us like it always has. It started with a slice of pie, a late-night walk, a man with a scar and a past he couldn't outrun. Now, 5 years later, we're still here, building a life out of broken pieces, choosing each other every day. It's not easy, not certain, not perfect. But it's ours, carved from small moments, from trust, from love that grows like a tree, slow and strong. And as I lock up the diner, Eli waiting by the door, I know it's enough. More than enough.